Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pipeline Podcast, episode 160. Today, we are joined on this week's third week of the Halloween seasonal episode with a very special guest. We have the one, the only, the fabulous, the amazing Neophyte. Sam is here today. How's it going, buddy?
Hey,
What's
how's
going
it
on?
going, Darren? Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. It is a honor to have you on the show today. Um, I'll be honest, like this was kind of one of my the way I schedule these shows are so weird because sometimes I have them scheduled out like 3 months in advance of what I want to do and what I want to do, and sometimes it's like a last minute. I'm doing this week. This is what's going on. You sent me a message on TikTok a couple weeks ago. I just kind
Yeah.
of I felt like to follow a lot of these other content creators. You sent me a message being like, "Hey, thanks for the follow." I was like, maybe this guy likes it. Maybe this guy. I don't know your interest. I don't know what you like. You sent me a message and you watched him for I think the first time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So shout out to you. Shout out for doing that. That is a big commitment. What, 8 hours of content just to do this show? So I
Yeah,
appreciate your commitments.
thank you.
Um, but how are you? How's it going?
I'm doing well today. Today was a long day, I would say overall. A lot of nerves on top of my
Mhm.
normal work day.
Sure.
But also a lot of excitement. I'm very excited to be on here. I'm excited to talk to you. Like you said, you pretty much recently just followed me on TikTok. So it's pretty awesome. And you know what? I started reaching out to people after they follow me, thanking them for following me because I feel like that makes you stick out.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So clearly in your case, you're like, hey, why not this guy?
Yeah.
So again, I am appreciative the fact that you considered me to even be part of this,
Of
and thank
course.
you again.
No, of course. No, I was definitely um again, like it is very scary when you're like never interacted with these people before. So just that like blank message of like, hey, you don't know me, but you wanna, so it definitely makes it easier to be like, oh, we already have that little message
Yeah,
started. There's
yeah, for
already
sure.
that thing kind of in the air.
Yeah.
And I will say you did much better about watching the things for this week than I did. I will say I'm bad procrastination. I am very bad with it sometimes.
Yeah.
One of my worst cases I think I've ever done. Last night, like 9 p.m. I'm like, I need to start these movies.
Oh
So
my
like,
goodness.
I was like, okay, I gotta watch the first one. I was like, oh, it's a 3-hour movie. Okay, was not expecting that. Woke up 5 a.m. today.
Wow.
Did part one. Came home from a shift. Did part two. I was like, I can't be doing that again. I need to be doing better. But yeah, no, I'm very excited to hop into today's episode.
Awesome.
We have some fun things planned. Obviously, we're gonna be talking about those three movies a bit later on in today's episode. We have some fun, couple of news stories. It's been kind of a chiller week, as a whole.
Yeah.
But let's tackle some of these comments here really quickly.
Sure.
We have Lacey in the chat said,
Hey,
"Hi,
Lacey.
how's it
Hey.
going? How's it going?" We have Brenda in the chat as well. Hello, Brenda. How's it going, everybody? Are these friends of yours, or are these people
Yeah.
from your side of the camp?
Yep. So Lacey has been, I would say, a ride or die on
Oh,
TikTok, and she's
sure.
also an amazing friend. And then Brenda's my wife.
Well, hello there. It's great to see both of you. I will say, like, again, I'm not as much in the TikTok space as I assume
Yeah.
you are. Seems like that's kind of your main forte.
Yeah.
The like film TikTok space seems so nice. It seems like everyone is just like this kind of giant friend group that I'm like very slowly kind of peeling back the like layer of. I'm slowly gathering
Yeah.
some of those guys. And like every time I talk to one of you guys, it's like, oh my gosh, everyone's friends with everyone. I was like, that's awesome. That's incredible. I love that vibe. That's so good.
Yes, I would completely agree. The film talk community is one of the best communities I've been part of.
Mm,
I guess I've been in the art sphere. I used to draw comic books, not professionally, but
that's
I
cool.
used to do art a lot on like Instagram, and that's very competitive. So
Mm,
it's very hard to sink into that space. But film talk, yeah, like you just said, people will accept you with
mm.
open arms and welcome you and make you feel part of the family.
Sure. No, that's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
especially on the internet, that's
Yeah.
a
Right.
rarity. Like, we usually specify in the like hyper nerd spheres for most of our conversations. That's a lot of Marvel and DC and Star Wars and Disney, and it's like not the vibe you typically see. Like any opinion at all, it's like pitchforks and fire, and so
Oh yeah.
that's a fun contrast, I'd say, to what you typically would see. Yeah, we're gonna be just jumping into the show today
Awesome.
with our creator spotlight segment. Just to get to know you a little better. Again,
Sure.
strangers, never met you before
Yeah.
outside of this, outside of our few messages we've sent back and forth.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I didn't have this on my list because I didn't know this, but you used to draw comic books. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Just like tell
Yeah.
me a bit about that. Was that a hobby? Was that something you always kind of wanted to do? Where did you kind of get into that sphere?
So, well, I guess starting it off, I've always been a huge fan of Marvel growing up. So of course the drawings that you see in comic books, the drawings that you see in the animated shows, that's what kind of got me
Sure.
started. And although I never did it professionally, it was definitely a dream that I had,
Mm,
to be able to do comic books as a living. Unfortunately, life decided to be another route. Um,
sure. Yeah.
I was looking to go to school for art. However, I ended up in the graphic design sphere. And that's actually what I do now as my job. Um, but yeah, so I used to draw. It was obviously, of course, I hoped that it would lead me to a profession, but
Mhm.
it definitely started off as a hobby and something I did for many years. Fortunately, I've dropped off from doing it. I do still pick up the pencil from time to time and sketch something here and there, but for the most part, now it's graphic design.
That's very nice. That's
Yeah.
very cool. I feel like yeah, like I almost feel like that's a I don't want to say a dying breed because it's not absolutely
Mm,
not. But
yeah.
I feel like now you're almost having to fight for that in this age of like AI and all this stuff. It's like how do you feel now that like so many of these new people are coming and it's like yes this is art. It's like it isn't though. It's not
Yeah.
just
I
really
I know, yeah. And Lacey, if you see the comments,
Mhm.
Lacey's also a graphic designer. So her and I both, when it comes to AI, we're like, you're the devil. um, Unfortunately, though, I do know that while I don't consider it art,
Yeah.
it's unfortunately something that people are embracing. I
Yeah.
wish people wouldn't,
When yeah.
because it takes away
Yeah.
actual work from real people. Um, so yeah, I know it's useful, especially in so many fields. It's definitely useful, but as far as the art sphere of things, I wish it wouldn't
It's
exist.
I 100% agree. It's a scary breed, and like I know it's kind of a different thing, but like that like Stan Lee thing came out a couple weeks ago where it's like
Yeah,
a real life Stan Lee that answers your questions. I was like,
yeah,
I that like that was my first bit. Like I was always anti AI. Obviously, I
mhm,
really dislike it, but like that was my first. Oh, it's getting bad.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
getting bad, and now we have AI actress that is coming to ruin Hollywood, take over Hollywood. It's like, yeah, like when I said once we get to a point it's too late to turn back, we've kind of already entered that scapegoat of like, yeah, it's getting too late, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um,
It's honestly unfortunate that it's starting to make its way into the movie realm.
yeah,
I'm hoping that doesn't get too far.
same, same. But I wrote down a couple just kind of get to know you questions to kind of
Sure,
bridge this gap here a little bit. I asked most of my guests here these first two questions.
sure.
Favorite movie of all time?
So I suck when it comes to favorites.
That's fair.
So I have two.
Okay, perfect,
Um,
amazing.
First one is Inception. I
Mm,
love
yeah,
Christopher Nolan. I actually
yeah.
did a filmography journey where I watched all of his films. but
Cool.
Inception was the one that I was introduced to, I guess. Yeah, because it came out prior to Batman, his Dark Knight
Sure.
trilogy. So Inception, and then the second one is Avengers Infinity War. I
Yeah.
absolutely love in Avengers Infinity War. So those are my two favorites, I would say.
Those are two, like, yes, like those are good picks. I think on like almost separate sides of the camp. Like it feels like you have your like cinephile pick, and then there's the like fun blockbuster pick, which I do feel like every list needs a bit of both. I think
Yes.
sometimes
Yeah.
it seems like sometimes people are afraid of the two. It's like you can
Mhm.
have the fun popcorn flick, you're also allowed to get like let your mind melt a little bit on some of those movies. So
Agreed. Agreed.
I can't wait for Odyssey next year. I simply
Me
cannot
too.
wait. And then on the other side of that, favorite TV show of all time.
Oof. Okay, so this one's a tough one.
Sure.
Um, First one that comes to mind, honestly, is Agents of Shield. But
Man after my own heart. I love me some Agents of Shield.
but if we're going to like, let's say like Stars and Showtime, Spartacus is one of those shows that I would watch over and over again, honestly.
Sure.
Mhm.
That's one I've never seen.
Oh,
It's been on my list for many years. It's I like this segment because every time someone mentions a favorite movie or show I haven't seen, I'm like, oh, I gotta add to the list.
oh,
Um,
I know.
but Shield is what it is up there for me. I got my Agent Coulson and Agent May Funkos right back there.
Nice.
I've seen it multiple times. Every time I'm one of those people where like every time there's a new article, they're like they could be coming back. I'm like, don't do this to me, guys. Don't
I
do it.
know.
Stop
I'm
doing
with you
it.
there. Yep.
There's
Yep.
a new. They almost put it in our news thing today. Now I kind of wish I did, but like there was a new thing where it's like Brad Windenbaum, who is like the head of Marvel TV, says, yeah,
Yeah.
I just rewatched all 7 seasons. I was like, oh, you don't typically just do that on a whim if you're the
Yeah.
head of a thing. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, why,
It's
buddy?
true. It is
So
true.
that's exciting.
Yeah, I wish they made it canon, and it clearly was canon at some point
Yeah,
until then Kevin Feige and Jeff Loeb
yeah,
clearly decided to part ways, whatever whatever that means. But it is what it is.
yeah. Someday.
Fingers
Um,
crossed.
if you could live in any fictional universe, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a great question. I I guess my default answer would be Marvel.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
clearly love Marvel,
Yeah.
but I guess if I'm going animated, I would go Pokemon.
Pokemon's good. Pokemon's good. I like that. I always struggle with this one because it's like obviously very cool universe you can live in, but it's like, but what about the dangers? Like
Exactly. Yeah.
Love Marvel. I don't know if I'd want to live in Marvel, at least not the big cities. Like
Yeah.
definitely not New York City. Not moving there. Not Jersey. Same with DC. Same with a
Yeah.
lot of those a lot of those big ones. Pokemon's good though. I feel like Pokemon doesn't have too many. As someone who's I'm not a huge Pokemon guy, but like it
Yeah.
feels like that feels a little calmer. It feels like you can kind
Yeah.
of just like
Yeah.
chill in your own little section, train your Pokemon, do your thing, and then go home for the day. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Leo's a good pick. I like that
Lego is a
pick.
good pick. I do like that.
I like
Jurassic
that a
Park
lot.
is definitely interesting though as well. That's a
I
dangerous one.
that's one where like I unfortunately do think I tried Jurassic World once. I feel like
I would too, actually, and my wife is a huge fan of the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World films. And honestly, my favorite dinosaur is the Mosasaurus. So
ooh,
to be able to see that in person, I'd
yeah.
die.
Yeah, like I feel like we're not that far away from somewhere that actually happened. I feel like we're like a couple years off from like, oh, dinosaurs are back, guys. By the way,
That's
um,
scary. That's scary.
by the way, yeah, they're back. Yeah. That's I think Lego might be my favorite answer. I really like the idea
Yeah.
of being able to be like, hey, I made my own house. Have fun. You're just like, oh, all right.
And you're singing everything is awesome all the time. So
Of course, of course. In the theme of Halloween, favorite Halloween themed movie.
Whew. So great question. And the reason I say this is because I just recently started allowing horror into my sphere. I was I I grew up two older sisters who from time to time would watch horror films. So of course it was The Exorcist,
Sure.
even it, but the one that I love, and even prior to me actually diving more into horror films,
Mhm.
is Scream. The Scream
That's
franchise is close to my heart, I would say.
yeah, that's a good pick. That's also up there for me as well. I I know it probably doesn't seem apparent because I literally asked you to do it today. I do not like horror movies. That's not my genre. I don't like being, but like I'm slowly getting into it a little more. Like I did Scream a couple years, a couple years ago when Scream
Yeah.
is it 5 came out. I think
6.
yeah,
The
5
most
and
recent
6.
one?
The like I think I started with 5 and then I also
Okay.
did 6.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's the
okay,
worst for
okay. Yeah.
5.
Okay.
A couple months ago we did Alien for the first time at prep for Alien Earth. We're doing Predator in a couple weeks
Nice.
here. So like I am slowly getting into it, and like I always said it was like, oh, it's because I don't like scary things. I don't like super
Mhm.
scary things. But I'm watching this stuff and it's like, yeah, it's not too bad. Like I watched these this week. I was like, oh, all right, that wasn't too bad.
That's
So
honestly so crazy because I guess we're sort of on the same journey at the same time. Because I started Spook, so this is my first time also doing spooky season on TikTok,
Mhm.
and I started with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. And I grew up hearing about these films. I remember my cousin. Um, we were probably in our early teens, probably, and she had, I believe, she either watched the film or she heard about it. And since I don't know if you know, it's inspired by a true story.
Sure.
So when she heard that, she was like, "Oh boy, we have to watch out. The Leatherface is going to come after us." So of course, me not being a fan of horror, I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." Um, but yeah, I've like I said, Scream 6. I guess so. I started my journey on TikTok maybe 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Officially as a movie reviewer, and Scream was one of those films that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give horror a chance. So I was like, let me watch Scream 6, and then this year was the year that I was like, okay, I'm gonna dive in more into horror. But yeah, so we're definitely on that same journey together at the same time.
That's incredible. That's fun. And that's a great transition to my final question here. It was just like I would love to hear about your history with TikTok, with content creation.
Yeah.
How'd you get into it? Why'd you get into it? Your kind of like what's your been journey up until this point with it?
So I would say it's been a fun journey to start it off. So like I said, started about 3 years ago. I used to watch a lot of YouTubers.
Mhm.
So John Campia, The
Sure.
Real Rejects, New Rock Stars. So I would say they were definitely my inspiration. What really I was I always watched movies, but not to the extent that I watch movies today. So
Sure.
being able to watch movies how I do now, I appreciate them a lot more. I appreciate what goes into it, whether it's the cinematography, whether it's the writing, the story. All that I would say is something that I am new to. And interestingly enough, the word neophyte, although it came off as a nickname that I had growing up, the word neophyte is a novice, someone new to something.
New. Yeah.
So I was like, it's perfect because I've never reviewed anything. I've never critiqued film before. I just simply would go into a movie theater, watch it, and keep on going. So being able to do this journey has been such a fun ride. I appreciate the fact that a lot of people on TikTok, and TikTok's been so welcoming, like you said, the
Mhm.
film talk community has been so welcoming. I started TikTok with just my phone. I would record with my voice and I would have images behind. I was always afraid to show my face. Lacey is a big factor as to why I finally decided to come around and showing my face. And it was friends that
Mm,
encouraged me. And it's always fun to see people comment when I watch a movie for the first time. They're like, "Oh, you're so lucky! You're experiencing this film for the
mm,
very first time. I wish I could do the same thing." So it's been such a great ride, and it's had its benefits. It's amazing.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
It feels like you're kind of tackling what I think is that beautiful part about that content creation. It's
Hmm.
like I think people sometimes get lost in the weeds a little bit where it's like,
Hmm.
okay, I have to get the best camera and I have to edit it for 10 hours straight and I have to
Yeah.
do blah blah blah. And it seems
Yeah.
like you are just in that era of like, hey, I am just experiencing this and giving it to you guys. And
Hmm.
that like one-on-one connection, I think is what is so special. And I think TikTok has kind of given that opportunity to people.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of lows of TikTok sometimes. Is it the greatest app always? No. But
No.
I do think that is the reason why I defend it a lot, where it's like, well, it's connecting people and it's allowing anyone to just make content and express themselves in such a way. And I do think that's the most beautiful thing about the internet. Again,
Yeah.
lows of the internet, very low sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
but like anyone can express themselves now, and I do think that's special. And I think again, you connecting with people, that is a very special thing. So that's
Hmm.
incredible. I love that.
Agreed. Agreed.
Absolutely incredible. With that being said, you've passed our Creator Spotlight segment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, let me read through some of these comments here really quickly, and then we're gonna jump into some news stories here.
Awesome.
Lacey said, "Release the Kraken." Stranger said, "Hello, stranger. What's going on? What's going on?" But Lacey said, "Love the mug. Thank you. I wait until Halloween every year to pull out this like Disney mug. Love me some Disney.
Same.
So love that." Lacey said, "You guys may be long lost twins. Maybe."
Could be.
Jeffrey's in the house. What's up, buddy? Said, "Gotta be Scream for me." Heck yeah. Yeah, Scream's up there. I haven't seen very many. I haven't seen many. I think on the fun side of that, like the not watching a lot of horror movies, I'd say like going back to my Disney Channel days, like Halloween Town. I love a good like Halloween Town or like a Twitches or like that era of like early 2000s Disney's real. I watched a lot of those growing up.
Yeah.
Jeffrey said I definitely picked Pokemon, probably the
Let's
second
go.
safest place beyond Lego. Yeah, I think you definitely have to go with like a Minecraft or a Lego or like at most fictional worlds you're getting eaten or stepped on or beamed up or something. Um Lacey said I went to kick in that Jurassic World kitchen and eat all the ice cream. You know what? That's valid. I like that a lot actually. That ice cream does always look very good. And then there was one more I wanted to bring up. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here it is. Jeffrey said, "Came by to say hi, and I hate clowns. Besides the Joker, so epic, closer to clown." Yes, fair enough, Jeffrey. We'll see you next week, my friend. We will see you next
Aw,
week. And and also hello, Lance. How's it going, my friend? How's it going? So yeah, with that being said, we are going to be jumping into a couple of news stories that came out this week. It wasn't a huge week. It was kind of like we had New York Comic Con, which we discussed in another stream a couple of days ago, because I was like, there's
nice.
too much to talk about in this. There's a lot of things that came out, a lot of trailers, a lot of
Mhm.
stuff like that. But Disney released a movie a week at this point. Tron
Ah, Tron.
franchise to potentially retire after recent release of Tron Ares. Now, have you seen Tron Ares up until this point?
I have not.
You have not.
I definitely want to, because I love the original Tron. I love Tron
Uh-huh.
Legacy, but no, I haven't gotten around to watching it.
I have also not seen the new Tron, so but I did think this was definitely a very interesting topic, because I am not a Tron guy. I watched Legacy, I was actually tricked into watching Legacy. Like a friend told me it was like one of the greatest movies that was ever made ever, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I was just fucking with you. I was like, oh damn it. Have not seen the original, even though I hear it's a classic. I bet it's great. And
Yeah.
then just like Jared Leto, I don't know. I'm not a huge Jared Leto, you know. So I was
Yeah.
just like, maybe I'll sit this one out. Does this surprise you though? Like, were you expecting Tron Ares to be this big hit for Disney? Are you shocked that this may be the last movie they put out?
So I am very shocked. Especially because, well, I don't know if it's just my own bias, the fact that I love those two films.
Sure.
But seeing the mixed reviews essentially that's
Mhm.
coming out of it, I guess it's not surprising. And also with what I've been hearing about Jared Leto, I didn't even know a lot of what I've
Fair.
been hearing
Yeah.
about him. But I guess they kind of picked their poison, and now it's kind of got to go.
Yeah. Jared Leto's one of those actors where it's like there's a lot out there about him, but
Mhm.
nothing technically in the court of law confirmed. So it's
Oh
like
boy.
we can't technically do anything about him, but we don't know. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
one of those cases. Um,
I'm honestly surprised that they picked him for the role, because
yeah,
seeing how bad Suicide Squad, and I'm not going to blame it completely on him, of
sure.
course,
Yeah.
but his Joker is by far the worst Joker. And then you have Morbius.
Morbius. Yeah.
Do you blame Sony on that? I don't know, but he
Yeah.
also didn't do the greatest job. So his track record hasn't been the greatest, except that one film that he did a while ago. I think that's what everyone keeps hoping that his performance is going to be like, but
Yeah.
his recent track record is not the best.
No, it's not the greatest, and like yeah,
Mhm.
like it's always like maybe because it can never be directly like exactly directly. Oh, he is the problem, and
Right, right.
now maybe the final like oh yeah, it's him. But like Suicide Squad, there is just a lot going on with that movie, and
Yeah,
like he
yeah.
could have given the best performance of his life, and it still probably would have a weird situation around it.
Yeah.
Um, Morbius again, just weird studio stuff, which came out like
Mhm.
this made less opening weekend than Morbius did its opening weekend. Was like, oof,
Crazy. Yeah,
that's
it's
not what
very
you want to
crazy.
hear.
Yeah.
And then he's back next year with He-Man. He's going to be in that live action He-Man
Oh boy.
as a Skeletor of
Oh
all
god.
characters.
Oh gosh, that's not gonna be good.
So, in fairness, he'll be in makeup this time around. He'll be in he'll probably be in prosthetics and
Yeah.
all that jazz. But yeah, I feel bad for the Tron fans on this one.
Uh,
I have friends who love this franchise. I have friends where it's like I wanted this one to succeed for they can make the Tron movie I wanted to see or that they promised all those years ago. And it's one of the I think Disney does that a lot where it's
yeah.
like, oh, we gave you that sequel, but not necessarily the one we set up or that you wanted. But if this does well, maybe it's like you should have just made that one that people were
Exactly.
asking for.
Exactly.
Um, so I don't know, maybe in another 10, 15 years, they'll try and dig it up again, being like, oh, well, maybe it'll work this time. Because,
Yeah.
like, you know, if you like those movies or not, they were never big financial successes. They were never
Mhm.
breaking the bank. Like, people love Legacy, and that's fair. I
Mhm.
love the people that love it.
Mhm.
Didn't break the bank for Disney. There's a
Right.
reason it took, what, 15, 10,
Yeah, it's been
15
a
years to
while.
make a
Yeah.
sequel, right?
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what's next for them, or
Yeah.
maybe they're like they like once did a TV show for Disney. Oh, by the way, love the mug or
Thank
love
you.
the Fantastic Four
Oh,
cup, love that.
thank you.
um but like they did a TV show at one point for like
I
Disney
heard about it,
XD.
yeah.
Maybe they get another like Disney Plus show or something, and that's how they do it. Like it not enough to do well on like in the theaters, but maybe enough for a streaming show or like another anime. I don't know. There's something out there for
I
people
guess
I
that'd
feel like.
be a happy medium in a way.
Strange said also the movie would have been made without Jared Leto because he's the one that came to Disney and pitched it. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that he pitched
I
it.
didn't know that either. Yeah.
That's interesting. Interesting. Wouldn't have. Okay. And then Jeffrey said, "Give me the real." Disney's fault for not doing enough with the franchise. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's definitely very fascinating. Okay, I mean, speaking of your Fantastic Four cup here,
Sure.
it's different, but it's also kind of similar.
Yeah.
Live action Jetsons movie to star Jim Carrey as the lead. Mr. I'm retired, Mr. I think I'm done is never quite done in the Hollywood space. It is interesting because my whole one thing I kept saying when Fantastic Four was coming out, I was like, this feels like the Jetsons. This feels like a live action Jetsons movie.
Yeah.
It looks, it feels, that's the vibe. Were you a Jetsons fan at all? Was that a show you at all
that was
grew up
prior
on,
to
or
me.
yeah?
No, that was prior
Yeah.
to me growing up.
Fair.
I was more, I guess, what was my animated? Well, I grew up in the 90s, so yeah, that was prior to my time.
I don't know how I grew up on it. I'm a 2000s kid. I was born 2002. I got a hold of like a box set or something, and
cool.
I am weird with the shows I grew up on though, because I did grow up on like a lot of older shows. I grew up with my grandma, so I was watching Andy Griffin. I was watching like Dennis the Menace and Happy Days and like Gidget and a lot of those kind of shows. But yeah, like Jetsons was on, quite a bit. I always like Jetsons a little bit more than Flintstones. I know like those are the two people like to compare a lot.
Yeah.
A Jetsons movie, is this something that you want to see? Is this I'm curious what this would look like.
It's not something that I am definitely asking for. It's very strange.
Sure.
That Jim Carrey would be. I don't know. I don't see him. I don't know. I think him doing Dr. Eggman and in the Sonic movies was fine. I think he should literally hang it up and not do it.
I respect Jim Carrey so much sometimes. Like there's a bit in some of my podcast groups that I hate Jim Carrey, that he is the bane of my existence and blah blah blah. But listen, like he made this statement once where it's like, hey, like I'm retired, but if you come to me with a script that's written in ink or like written in gold, then maybe I'll think about. He's done Sonic 3.
Yeah.
Which is a very silly movie.
Yeah.
And now he's back for Jetsons, a whole movie.
Yeah.
I would assume it's probably not like maybe it's a cinematic masterpiece. I have no idea, but like I doubt it's like, I don't know, perfection. Like I don't know. Again, maybe it is. Like maybe it's like movie of the year. It's gonna win 20 Oscars. It's the best thing that's ever been made. Yeah. It's
honestly Jim Carrey in his early days, beloved. Sure. I loved him on In Living Color. I loved him obviously in the Ace Ventura films. Clearly Lacey loves him. In the what others? The Mask. That was something that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Even the Riddler in the Batman movie. But towards I haven't seen much of him in recent years besides Sonic. I think prior to that, did he maybe do Kick-Ass? Was another one that he did. He was in. Oh no, yeah. That was the second film, right?
I've only seen the first one, so I can't speak on the second.
Okay, so it is the second one, yeah.
Okay,
so it is definitely the second one.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I guess where my curiosity kind of lies is just like the commentary, I guess, on the future state, because that show was part of its time, and like its big thing is like, okay, we are like predicting the future, and we are like giving our stamp on like what the future looks like. Do you make their version of the future and what that show did with their future, or do you reimagine the future with today's like concepts and ideas and stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like I'd be curious, like how do you? It's also live action, so like how do
Yeah.
you like how are you going to create that world? And again, I guess you did with Fantastic Four a good bit, so I get it can be done.
My thought, if and it kind of just came up now, they'll
Sure.
probably start off in their, I guess, whatever the show, however the
Mhm.
show imagined the future, and then at some point get transported to the current future. That's probably gonna it's probably gonna be something like that.
It's a
Something like
fish out of water story where
yes,
it's like,
yeah.
"Where's my flying car? This
Yeah.
isn't what the future's supposed to be like." That's
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's probably like how He-Man's gonna be, I think, too. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised.
yeah, I'm kind of tired of fish out of water stories a little bit, where it's like, "Hey, it's the Smurfs, but they're in our world." It's like, I don't want to be in
Exactly.
my world. I want to be in their world. I don't wanna go to my world. I'm in my world. I don't know. But no, that's fair. I could see that direction.
Yeah,
Dante's here saying Jim Carrey was the goat of the 90s. Fair
he
enough.
definitely was.
He definitely was. All right, we have a final news story here. This is not my favorite topic to talk about. I suppose I'm very curious to hear your thoughts in general about this type of movie.
Okay.
Upcoming live action Moana film is seemingly another copy and paste reboot.
Oh boy.
We talk quite a bit about these live action Disney movies on here on the
Yeah.
show, if we like to or if we don't like to. I'm kind of mixed on them most of the time. I sometimes like them, I sometimes really don't like
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Um, we talked a lot about this specific concept this year, this June with How to Train Your Dragon.
Mm,
And I came out and I liked How to Train Your Dragon, and I said, "Hey guys, it's a good movie."
yeah.
Because it's the same exact movie I watched in 2010,
Exactly. Yep.
and as much as I enjoyed it, because that's one of my favorite movies of all time, of course I enjoyed it, because they literally made the same movie that I fell in love with, what,
Yeah.
20s, however long ago it was,
Exactly.
So, um, and I wanted a bit more from them, and I'm excited for the sequel, because they said, "Hey, we're doing new stuff with this one. We're changing
Yeah.
some things up. We're giving you something new."
Ooh,
That's exciting. That's
that is
exciting
very
for me.
exciting.
Moana is one that, and I'm always a little gracious with these ones. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, let's see what they do. Maybe they're going to give us a new splash of paint. Maybe they're going to do something. This one to me feels so by demand corporate, like sent to letter, being like, "Oh, money and Dwayne Rock Johnson, and give it to you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like there's any amount of this like creative splash. What's your opinion on this? And what's your, I guess, thoughts on just like this genre in general? These Disney live action reboots, and now other studios jumping on this train of live action reboots of their animated properties.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm in the minority of
Oh,
enjoying
okay.
reboots. I enjoyed The Little Mermaid live action. I
Same.
enjoyed I
I like that
really
one.
enjoyed Lilo and Stitch, and
Okay.
I know a lot of people hated the ending because Ohana, according to them, doesn't mean family. But I really thought it was a nice twist. I thought it made more sense. It felt more realistic. I felt like if you were dealing with potentially losing a sibling because you're not able to afford it, and also because you're looking to make a better living for yourself, I thought, why not? It's and they have somebody that would be able to take care of Lilo.
Hmm.
Um, so I was a fan of that. As far as Moana, I'm kind of biased.
Okay.
My 2-year-old niece loves Moana.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm open for it. I'm
Okay.
not the type of person that says, "Oh, forget live action reboots."
Sure. Yeah.
I welcome them. I welcome them, and if they're bad, they're bad. If they're enjoyable, they're enjoyable. Um,
Yeah. I think my take on them most of the time is like I don't hate them in concept. It's moderation. That is my
mm,
take. I think
Okay.
when you're having 2 or 3 a year, it's like you are producing more of the reboots than you are your original contents.
Yeah.
And the gap between the original content's pretty large. In fairness, I can't blame Disney, right?
Mhm.
The original movies are now our gambles in terms of the box office.
Yeah.
Elio just came out for Pixar this year, made
Mhm.
very little money.
Mhm.
But then you have like Mufasa and I mean Lilo and Stitch, who just made $1 billion, like in months apart from each other. So like the money doesn't lie, unfortunately, as much as we may wish it would, as much as
Yeah.
we wish that wasn't the case, that, I see why they do them. Um, I don't know. This one to me though, just like it felt so like, especially when it was announced, because
Mhm.
to me this felt like Dwayne Johnson was like, "Oh shoot, I've lost my role at DC. I need another win." Ran over to Disney, said, "Let's pitch this thing." And again, it like to me this one in particular doesn't feel like it's made out of passion or like creative freedom. It's like, oh, Moana, kids love Moana. Moana 2 made $1 billion last year. My take is also like, hey, I'd prefer Moana 3 over a live
Yeah,
action
yeah.
Moana. Like, I do that. Like, I feel like you should be done with the live action or like your animated stuff before you're even talking about the live action. Like,
Agreed.
there's already been talks of like a live action Frozen. It's like, dog, you're currently making Frozen 3 and 4. Wait like 10,
Yeah,
15
exactly.
years. Like
Mhm.
you do not need to be focusing on that right now.
Agreed.
Um I don't know, maybe this comes out when I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing and this is fantastic." I'm always against I don't like the copy and paste. That I think that's another thing for me I do not like.
Yeah.
I like when you're and we'll talk about that actually today because we were talking about some reboots today.
Yes, we are.
But like I'm always like, okay, I loved Little Mermaid a lot. I liked Little Mermaid. I liked Aladdin. I liked the stuff that's like Mufasa and Cruella and
Yes.
Maleficent. I love
Yes.
those where I'm like, if you have to do these, make your own spin on these stories. Do something
Yeah.
new. Do something fresh. There was a rumor for a while, and we haven't heard anything about it, so it might just be the rumor mill doing their thing. But they were working on that live action Hercules movie, and there was a
Oh,
rumor
yeah, I
that
heard about
instead
that.
it was going to be Hades. I was like, sign me up. That sounds incredible. That
Ooh.
sounds like a nice new take on that world and like almost sometimes a more interesting character than Hercules and a lot of stuff
Mhm.
too. So like that sounds awesome. Um so we'll see. Comes out next year. I'm not the most excited for it, but maybe I'm surprised. Maybe it comes out and they're like, nah, they cooked. It's a masterpiece and it's winning the Oscars or something.
I'll keep an open mind to it too.
Yes. Lacey's got to run. Thank you, Lacey, for stopping
Thank
by.
you,
It
Lace.
was it was it was, it was great seeing you. And let me run through some of these comments here. We can always blame Disney. Fair enough. Fair enough. Disney's the corporate overlord, so fair enough.
Mhm.
Leave it alone. Moana is perfect as it is. I do love the movie Moana.
Yeah,
It's one of
same.
my favorite Disney movies of all time. I was not a fan of 2, but
I haven't watched it, so I can't say.
yeah, I want them to get the chance to make their like because it was a mix of their it was supposed to be like a series. It
Right,
was a
yes,
series for
that I
like
heard.
Disney Plus,
Yes.
and then Bob Iger came back and said, "What are you doing? Put this in theaters." Good call. It made $1 billion, so it was a
Oh,
good call on
dang.
him. So shout out to that. But
Yeah.
I want like a movie. I want one where it's like, oh, we are meant from the start to get a movie because it's very messy and it feels like it stops every like 20 minutes because it did stop every you know what I mean? So
Yeah, definitely.
Trinity said absolutely like Moana, only came out 6 years ago. Way too was it only 6 years ago? Actually, it came out 10 years ago
Yeah,
next
I think it's
year.
been a little bit longer, yeah.
It was 2000 it was 2016. So next year will be 10 years since it come out. With that being said, though, I still think 10 years is pretty early
It's
if
too
you're
soon,
just
yeah.
doing copy and paste. Like I think if you're doing copy and paste, that has to be like at least 20, 30 years because
Yeah.
your whole point is like, well, let's show this to the audience who didn't see it 20, 30 years ago kind of
Agreed.
thing.
Agreed.
Jeffrey said Boo the Rock is just going to be playing himself. That's fair. Fair enough. Alrighty. Well, that leads us to the end of our news story here today. Fun stuff ahead. Just kind of like I guess just a
Yeah.
highlight on what's to come over these
Yep.
next couple years at Hollywood. And yeah, with that being said, we are going to be jumping in to our main topic here today,
Awesome.
which is the It movies. Obviously, if you have not seen the It movies, we're going to be starting with the 1990 movie and making our way through. If you've not seen them and you don't want to be spoiled for these movies, head out. Thanks to everyone who stayed up until this point. We're going to be diving in here. So you watched these for the first time this week. You said,
Yeah.
I reached out to you. You said, sure, I'll watch them.
Yeah.
What was your kind of? Did you have any history at all as someone who hadn't seen them, like with the franchise, just by by osmosis, people
Mhm.
talking about it? Did you have any kind of like knowledge at all about this franchise? Where were you kind of at with that?
So I would say I sort of knew about it obviously because of my older sisters.
Sure,
They probably watched it as I was growing up. Um and I do recall, and even still, my sister, my eldest sister is afraid of clowns because of it.
sure, yeah,
So I was expecting something, not to say that I didn't enjoy it. I don't know if how much detail I can go into now, but I will
sure,
say it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be.
yeah, yeah. I
So
feel, yeah,
while I wasn't let down per se, um, it kind of made me kind of scratch my head saying maybe it's just because I'm older at this point and
oh, sure, yeah,
I'm an adult. I'm not going to be afraid of clowns or whatnot. Um, so yeah, so I didn't find it as scary. Again, that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy all three of
sure,
them,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
especially with the 1990. What Tim Curry did was amazing.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm surprised at how much people are afraid of it and how much this movie led to a whole generation being afraid of clowns.
Yeah, no, I feel like maybe what plays a part, at least maybe when it first came out,
Mhm.
clown's not really a big thing today. I feel like that is one of the big things, right?
Yeah, that's
There aren't a
true.
lot of circuses, there aren't a lot of street fairs. I feel like back in the 90s, like I wasn't there in the 90s, but like I feel like clowns and circuses
They definitely
and
were.
face paint and like, balloon animal, like a lot of that stuff was a lot bigger, was a much bigger deal. And I feel like you could like take a car ride and you'll find a clown or a mime or like, like you have that stuff going on.
Yeah.
Even 10 years ago, like I feel like clowns were a much bigger thing. I mean, I think back to 2019 when one of these movies came out, big year for clowns. We had
Yeah.
obviously this It movie we'll talk about here in a few.
Mhm.
But also Joker. And not only Joker, we had literal real clowns, people going out as clowns and doing stuff and scaring people and
Yeah.
getting. I think there was. I don't know if there was any killings, but there was violence happening in the community at
Yeah.
the time, and like that probably helped. Like if I was afraid to go outside and maybe possibly see a clown, I might also be afraid of Pennywise. So like
Yeah, in that aspect, yeah, I would completely
yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like again, I hadn't seen them before this week. I remember it being a big, very big deal in 2017 when the movie first
Mhm.
came out. I was in middle school, high schoolish, and I remember watching the trailer in class. It's like all my friends being very excited for it, me being like, "Nope, I'm turning the other way. I'm not watching this." Again, middle school me definitely is not into this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But it was a huge, I think, cultural icon, like you said.
definitely.
If it's the '90s one, which again I didn't have as much exposure with as these kind of new line of movies as they were coming out. Um, so yeah, no, like I definitely think they have their cultural impact.
Absolutely.
So let's start with the first one,
Yeah.
the one from the 1990s. This is one I don't have as much exposure with, at least in the pulp culture. I feel like those reboot movies really brought back the franchise in a big way to,
Mhm.
I think most people that talk about it today, they are thinking of the Bill Skarsgård version of the character, not
Yeah.
necessarily the Tim Curry version. What was your thoughts on the movie? Kind of going into it, what was the vibe you were getting? Your just general thoughts on that?
So overall, I guess what I was expecting it to be a lot scarier than what it actually was. Um, I also haven't read the book, so I didn't have any expectations. I've heard about l- I had general knowledge of who Pennywise was and what he does in order to, I guess,
Oh, sure.
survive.
Sure.
Um But so I guess my expectations, I didn't really have any expectations. I was just looking forward to, okay, I'm gonna
Sure.
have a good scare.
Yeah.
And I went into it, I dove into it head on and enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Yeah, and I think it actually came out like earlier than I thought it was as well. Because like when I think of it, I think it's like, oh, it's this very old IP. It's this
Yeah,
thing people have been talking about forever. I was like, 1990, not that long ago. Like it's
yeah, yeah,
it's been a while now, but like it's not that long ago. It's still
yeah.
within the last 30 years or so.
Mhm,
30, 40 years or so now, right?
yeah,
So I enjoyed that first one a lot. I did, and I think there's a reason I see why they wanted to bring this franchise back. There's a
yeah.
reason I see why they wanted to do their own spin on this because it is such a classic story.
Mhm.
I think especially with n- like the old nostalgia being what it is, because the movie itself is a nostalgic movie even from when it's coming out. It's looking upon the past.
Yeah.
It's kind of looking at your your childhood and what
Mhm,
makes kids kids, and
mhm.
it makes sense, especially at the time when Stranger Things was coming out and that like 70s 80s nostalgia was very very popular. It was it was their age, which is definitely a huge influence of that 2017 movie. Again, we'll talk about that
Yes,
when we get
yes.
there.
Yeah.
And so like yeah, like that you see why, and there is a lot of I think charm to that
Mhm.
first movie,
Absolutely.
and it does kind of suck you
It
in a
does.
very in a way I wasn't expecting because I was like,
Mhm.
all right, it's going to well, and is it a perfect movie? I don't think so, right? There are, especially I think in the effects department, obviously there are some
Yeah.
things where I'm like, hey, that rock didn't hit his face, or like like there's that scene where like hits the kid's leg, he's like, oh, oh, and he's falling backwards, like it barely hit you, my guy, you gotta relax.
Yeah.
So, but also it's like a TV movie from the
Exactly.
90s with
Mhm.
not the effects of today's technology and standards, and I think like with what it's given, they do some special things, and I think like you said, Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise is the highlight of that movie. Like he does a very very good job there.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah, I think since I've started my film, like on TikTok, appreciating film, I've appreciated how older films did their effects.
Oh,
I've
sure, yeah,
I've grown to love practical effects. So seeing and comparing what the 1990 film did compared to the 2017 2019 film, there's still an aspect that you can still appreciate. And even though
hmm,
it might come off cheesy, even though it might make it less scary,
sure,
the fact that they were able to accomplish what they did at the time, I think it's pretty great.
I agree. No, no, like again, like there is that charm to it, and there is that like, and again, it is interesting, like contrasting it to the 2017
Yes,
movie or the
correct.
2017 movie. Sorry, and just like again, like I definitely see the like producers being like, oh, we want to do that, but then like more of it. I guess it's
Mhm.
kind of like the pitch where it's like, hey, that's such a cool monster. That's such a cool idea. This is such a cool concept. How do we? And we'll talk about this once we get there, obviously. But
Of
like
course.
again, but seeing like where it started from,
Yeah.
and how charming these characters are, and how kind of impressive the like layout of the movie is. Because obviously the other two are like they split it into two separate parts, which I think was a good move. I think that was
Mhm.
very smart on
Agreed.
them. Um, but the original was like, hey, it's 3 hours and we're telling two movies basically. we're telling
Mhm.
two completely different stories, and I think how it weaves in between each other pretty seamlessly is
Yeah.
very impressive. I was kind of blown away with how well they were able to do that. That being said, it's a long movie.
Yeah.
It's 3 hours.
Mhm.
And I do think you feel that a little bit in that back half for me. By there, like there's a point, like I think after you kind of wrap up the like children's part of the story, you're like, okay, all right, this has been a good thing. It's like, oh, there's like an hour and a half left. My goodness, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
So you definitely feel the runtime. You feel it a little bit. It's needed, and like
Yeah.
weirdly enough, there's some areas where I'm like, it could have been longer. Like,
Exactly. Yes, it's true. It's so true.
no, it's which again is why I think what they did, at least in part one, was a brilliant move, because of that. Because like it is such a lengthy story. They are
Mhm.
doing so much. They're creating this world that
Yeah.
hasn't been seen before in this character, unlike anything I've personally ever seen. Like obviously there's evil clowns. That's a
Of
very
course.
famous, character to dive into. But I think in the way where it's like, hey, it's this thing, but also it's not. Like it's
Exactly.
not what
Yeah.
it seems. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
this other thing completely. I thought was so fascinating and really fun to see for sure.
Agreed. I completely agree. Actually, and I was looking it up earlier today.
Mhm.
Although we saw it the way that we saw it, I'm assuming you probably saw it on HBO Max.
Yes.
So when it was first released in 1990, it was actually released. The first part was released on a Sunday,
Okay.
and then they released the second portion of it on a Tuesday.
Okay.
So I guess it allowed that little break in between.
I
We
understand.
just
Yeah.
got the whole haul.
We were sitting in one sitting,
Yeah.
which and again, it made it even interesting because again, I watched about all 8 hours of all these within 24 hours of each other. So again, like that added to another layer of that, which I'll talk about once we get to 3. That's the third movie we
Yeah.
have here,
Yeah.
because I definitely started feeling it then. But like, yeah, and like and especially that one, I'm staying down. Like, I see why they're making this a TV show. I understand
Mhm.
why HBO Max is making an It TV show,
Mhm.
because what a good like
Yeah.
template for a TV. Like I'm
Mhm.
watching this, I was like, okay, that could have been episode one, that could have been episode two, that could have been an
Yeah.
episode three, um, and I am fascinated to see
Yeah.
kind of what they what they're able to pull off with that
Same.
TV. Like I think that is going to be very fascinating,
Agreed.
which we'll probably talk about a little bit more once we
Yeah.
get to 3, once we
Yeah.
end it. But you have any final thoughts on the 1990s movie?
So there were some
Okay.
positives that I
Yeah.
that I enjoyed about it. First of all, I love the chemistry between the cast. The cast has such a
Yes.
great chemistry, kind of, and what you're saying, it really pulls you in to the world
Yeah.
that it's taking place in. So I love the chemistry between the cast. I also loved um in the adult portion, when they come back, and something that is not included in the 2017, no, sorry, in the 2019 version of the film, is when Mike and Bill reconnect prior to the whole gang getting back together at the Chinese restaurant. I
Sure.
loved that it made the friendship feel more sincere. It made it actually feel like they were actually friends.
Yeah.
And I just love how relatable the characters are to you as the viewer.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
of course, you had your childhood, and obviously, we have the fortune of being able to see it now as adults. But being able to, hey, I was at that age where I had my fears, and I'm also
Yeah.
now at an age where, although those fears aren't the same, there's probably still trauma from something that I dealt with in my childhood. So it's very relatable. And something else that I really enjoyed is, and I think it's across all three films, the balance between horror and comedy. That
Yeah.
it doesn't make you feel like, oh man, this is going to be a dreadful ride from beginning to
Yeah.
end. there's this charm about it that just makes you fall in love with the characters, that makes you
Mm,
fall in love with the world, and makes you want to be part of it. So
no,
I think those are some positives. And of course, I personally loved the child actors more than the adults, even though there are some legendary actors as part of the adult cast, such as John Ritter and Annette O'Toole.
yes,
I I just loved the kids' performances. I think in technically in all three,
yes,
part
agreed.
one and part and this one,
Yeah,
they did amazing.
I, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, I do think it is that like that childlike wonder that do make these movies. And again, it's the same with like Stranger Things and
Hmm.
E.T. and Goonies and all those kind of movies. Like, I am a sucker for those, like, not period pieces, but like those very like nostalgic movies where
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
focused on your younger cast of characters going on a little wacky adventure.
yeah,
And I think they definitely capture that charm quite a lot. And
yeah.
then, like, you again, you kind of just want to be hanging out with them. Like, you kind of want
Exactly.
to, you know, aside from the bullies and the evil clowns and the
Yeah,
racisms and the, you know, all that stuff. It's
of
like
course.
you want to be part of the like group. And you don't want anything bad to happen to this group. And I
Hmm.
will say, and this is something I'll say for the other ones too, like, I think you do lose a little bit of that charm when you kind of go back to the grown up stuff a little bit.
Yeah,
And I don't think it's their fault necessarily. I just think the kid actors do such a good job, and there is such
exactly.
charm there. And yeah, no, I fully agree. And I like, I do like the main story, and I do like it being a story about grief. I like it being a
Hmm.
story about the innocence of a child, and
Hmm.
I like this idea that, like, well, yeah, he goes after the children because
Yeah,
they have more fears, and you can um morph them, I guess, easier than you would adults. And you
hmm,
can kind of, yeah, you don't have the resources that an adult would have. And
yeah.
as sad as that is, as messed up as that is, I do think that makes for a very, at least an interesting story to watch on screen. And
Agreed.
you know, like with an adult, you could be like, well, you know, go get the shotgun, go, you know, just mark them down. Kids don't have
Yeah,
that
they don't.
advantage. They can't just go do that. They can't, you know, actively fight. And I do think, like, when they eventually go down and they do beat him like the first time, it almost feels more satisfying than what happens the second time when they're all just beating down on him, just tearing him
Agreed.
limb from limb.
Agreed.
There's something satisfying when she like pulls out the like slingshot and it just
Yeah,
busts open the head and it's like
it
that
was.
effect looked really good. I was like,
Yes,
that was really cool. I really liked that.
I completely
Um,
agree.
yeah.
Did you have a favorite, I guess, kid character?
Favorite kid. Let me look at the cast here really
Yeah, sure.
quickly. I mean, I think. Hmm, I mean, I think Bill is an easy answer because he is the one I think
Yeah,
who's
he's the
going
lead.
through the most.
Yeah,
Beverly, I do really. I guess I don't. I like Beverly a lot,
yeah.
but also it's like maybe it's just because I sympathize the most because she does go through, I think, the most
Mhm,
stuff.
mhm.
Especially once we get into the reboot territory where it's like, oh my god, like there's an extra layer
Yeah,
of messed upness that goes along with her character, where it's like, my goodness, I want to rescue this poor little girl.
agreed.
For what she's going with. And then, I mean, I've always been on the bigger side, so I relate to Ben
Then
and
yeah,
his what he's going through.
yeah,
Also, just Pennywise, I think Pennywise, just watching him on screen. And
yeah.
he, here's what I'll say as like my final thoughts for this one.
Sure.
I do really like how much they lean into the clownisms of
Yeah,
this one in particular, and we'll talk
yeah.
about it once we get there. But like the like 2017 version, and I actually think it's a good choice that they did that. But like, he's definitely more of a demon in those movies. Like, he is
Mhm,
more like of
mhm.
this outer creature beast from another world vibe, which I think is really cool. I like they leaned into that. But there is
Same.
something also I think almost sometimes scarier about, like, he's just a clown.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
it's just and they really lean into that and the like clown aesthetic of it all, and you can see why a whole generation was afraid of clowns because there's this mystery behind a clown.
Hmm.
There's like what is behind that makeup, like what makes them tick, and I think they lean into those aspects a lot, which I thought was very cool.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that way. Yeah, but that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, we've been kind of like scoping around it a little bit, so I think it'll be a
Awesome.
nice transition just to the 2017 movie
Yeah.
It, the reboot. Which again, like this is one of those IPs where it kind of just doesn't feel like a reboot because it seems like it's the more iconic version at this point of the movie.
Hmm.
Like I think when you say, "Hey, have you seen It?" Not many people are thinking of the 1990s
No.
It.
Yeah.
They are thinking of the 2017 movie, Bill Skarsgård, Finn Wolfhard, and like that.
Hmm.
Like that's what they are thinking of.
Agreed.
Um, do you do you remember when this movie came out? Like, did you see any advertising? Did you have friends that was
Oh,
going to see it? That kind of stuff.
I definitely remember hearing about it. I'm pretty sure I probably switched off the trailer when the trailers were coming on. Mind you, I was 27
Okay.
when that came out, but again, I obviously wasn't a fan of horror at the time.
Mm,
Um, as far as friends going to watch it, no, I never really had friends that were into horror.
okay.
Um, so I wouldn't say I had friends going to watch it, but
Yeah.
it was known. I was definitely was aware of the film.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Same. Same. I definitely remember being a pretty big deal when it came out.
Hmm.
Again, especially in the pulp culture sphere, like everyone was dressing up as Pennywise. Everyone,
Yeah,
there are
yeah,
so many of these, YouTube series of people pretending to be him and like animations and
yeah,
costume. Like he was everywhere for a good couple
yes.
years there. Um, and yeah, it's interesting watching this one back to back with the 90s one because
Hmm.
it is there's obviously differences. There's a lot they change. They also keep a lot. Like it
Yes.
is a pretty straight adaptation of the
Hmm.
main story. At least this one, and we'll talk
Hmm.
about the next one where they get a little bit more loosey goosey.
Yeah.
But like this one does kind of just feel like it's like again I haven't read the novel, but it feels like okay, this is the main story of that
Right.
novel. This is what that first movie was, first half of that movie, and they adapt it um pretty faithfully, it seems,
Hmm.
except for extensions. They
Yes.
extend it. It's like, okay, there's your base story. Here's all the iconic scenes that you love from that first movie. What new can we add to this story?
Hmm.
What is these new aspects and ideas that we couldn't do back in 1990 that we didn't either have the budget for or the resources for or just ideas that we never would have thought of back then. And I respect that a lot. I really
Hmm.
do. I think
Same.
again, in this world of reboots where it's just like, all right, we're just doing the thing again. I think it's a good use of a reboot. I really do think it is. I think it's a good use of like, okay, this is a character we love and this is a story we love and we want to tell it to a new generation in a way that we couldn't before. And I think
Agreed.
that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's what makes it probably stand out, like you were saying when you ask someone, "Have you seen it, the movie It?" That's probably why people
Yeah.
will most likely think about the 2017 version versus the 1990 version, because of just how, even though it is faithful and it sticks to what, and I'm sure they probably did that in honor of what Stephen King wrote.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's such an intriguing story. Why would you want to change too much?
Yeah.
And as you said, the fact that it was done in 2017, now you have a lot more capabilities of being able to do a lot more.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. And I think this one is my favorite of the three,
Mhm.
personally. I'm not sure where you lie on it. And I think it's for that exact reason where it's like
Mhm.
you have that first movie, and I thought it was really solid. I really enjoyed it. But again, it's like, what can we improve?
Yeah.
What can we grow? How can we do more? And I think separating it into two separate films was again the best thing, at least for this individual movie,
Agreed.
could have done for it.
Mhm.
Because it allows them to, like, okay, we spend half the movie doing what the original did. Now how do we give it a little bit more? And I
Mhm.
love that you get to just spend time with these characters. You get to spend time in Derry. Derry is a location. It is I feel like I know Derry at the back of my hand. I feel like it's a location that I want to visit. And
Yeah.
not saying the original didn't also do that, because it did, but I think this does it in a different way, in a more in-depth way that you just simply
Mhm.
did not have time for in that original movie.
Agreed.
And just along with the characters as well.
Yeah.
Again, they were tight for time. They had 3 hours, but they were doing a lot. And I feel like
Mhm.
I know all 7 of those main characters more
Yeah.
than I did in that original movie. And you get to go in depth in ways that you couldn't before, which I think, again, was a great
Yeah.
move.
Yeah, I completely agree.
For sure. Yeah, I'm thinking, like, okay, like, yeah, like I mentioned it being a story about grief in the first one,
Mhm.
and that is still true. This one is like, it's an actual arc, I think, of the
Yeah.
movie, which I
Yeah.
like in a big way. Like, I like that. I really feel that dynamic way more than the original was able to do. And I
Mhm.
like he spent a little bit more time in the beginning, kind of setting it up, setting their dynamic. You don't really feel his grief that much in that first movie because of time. But in this
Exactly.
movie, you let, what is it, Bill? Like, you let
Yeah.
Bill grieve. He is
Yeah.
not doing well in this movie. And then you
Mhm.
kind of enter the back half, and it's because of his grief they almost die on several occasions, and he's not fully coped over what has happened to him.
Mhm.
Um and really seeing this kind of full circle arc for him. And but she goes into the second one a little bit as well. Like, it's a story beat that they
Of course.
definitely will continue to tell. But yeah, like, again, it's those little things that they're able to build onto.
Yeah.
It's the stuff with Beverly. Like, they
Mm.
add these layers to him that are her, sorry,
Mhm.
that were not there in the beginning, or were not there in that first run of things, where it's like, oh my god. Oh, like, okay, they're taking this as what was already a dark kind of origin for her, and a dark
Yeah.
story with her. It's worse. It is
Yes. Yes.
it is very dark. And how do they deal with it? And that power of friendship, of like,
Mhm.
a lot of people don't have good childhoods. A lot of people are born in shitty situations, and
Yeah.
how do people help people
Right.
to evolve and grow, I think, is a beautiful story.
Agreed. Agreed. I actually also liked, and it's something that I pointed out in my review, is that you also got a lot more of Mike in this one.
Yes.
Um
Yes, you
in the
do.
first film, you sort of just meet him when he's being chased by Henry and his gang. But this one, you actually find out a little bit more. You see
Yeah.
what he's doing. You see what he went through with his losing his parents, and then he meets the group, the Losers Club,
Mhm.
and then they are able to form that bond as friends. But I think it was a great addition to include that versus just kind
Yeah.
of popping him into the story as the 1990 film did.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's definitely, and I think that's good, because he is the catalyst of the story, right? Like,
Yeah,
he is
yeah,
what brings everyone back into the thing, and he does feel like the least important member of the group, to
right.
the point he gets knocked out and doesn't even go into, like, the final fight with all the friends, which,
Yeah,
and, like, at the end of the movie, which, again, I'm glad they changed that
same,
for part 2.
same.
Uh, that was, I think, a great change. And,
Agreed.
I don't like playing that card, but it's like, it was the 1990s, and, like, there was still stuff in the air, unfortunately, when it comes to
Hmm,
people of color. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like, that probably plays a role, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I like Michael a lot more here as well.
same. Yeah.
Um, Finn Wolfhard's in here, which always makes me laugh a little bit, because I'm like, that's just Mike from Stranger Things. That's just they literally saw him in that show and were like, oh yeah, just get him. Let's have him play the main character, or do you just have him play
and
the
I
character again?
and I think it's funny because he's my favorite. the character Richie is my favorite across the board.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think I appreciated him more as the child character.
Yes.
Though Bill Hader in the second film,
He.
I think he did so great. Versus
Yeah.
Versus in the first film, I would say Ben was my favorite adult.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, I do like this character that's kind of just like coping, who's like consistently not processing his fear properly, and it comes out in sometimes comedy, sometimes being an asshole. Especially in these, he is an asshole in these movies.
He sure is.
Which kind of makes sense when you see where he goes, especially in that second movie, where it's like, oh, you were projecting, my friend. You were setting those feelings that you weren't able to comprehend just yet. Which again, yeah, interesting. I'm trying to think. Yeah, like I liked Eddie a lot too. I thought, but he's from Shazam, right? That's that kid? Okay.
Yes,
I recognized him the whole time. I was like, is that him? I think it's him.
Yeah. He's so great. I like him obviously in Shazam. I enjoyed how funny he is in Shazam. But this one, I think because of the character, he's so charismatic. He's able to show that side of him that even though he's, I guess, would be considered a germaphobe, right? Or just somebody that's really health conscious. But yeah, he knocks his performance, like his performance is amazing.
Yeah, and I do love the like the mother side of that story too. Is always very, very fascinating to see, especially to see where he, who he gets married to, and it's like, oh, there's some I guess trauma there, and it's like it is interesting to see how that gets kind of passed down. This idea of like, that's actually hurting, like that's not doing anything for you, which like that was also very interesting, and it's just like, I guess this commentary on fear itself of like how we like if we think like I guess that's kind of what they do throughout all the movies, where it's like if you believe that it's not real, if you believe something will help, then it will help, or if you believe it's not real, then it's what I mean. So I think that's really good commentary on just like the story they're telling itself, which is interesting. Like I really appreciate what they did there.
And I actually liked the change that because in the 90s, he's still living with his mom, right? It was his mom.
Yes.
And then in the second film, it's his wife.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great touch.
100%. And yeah, I feel like we're already kind of like leaning into the second movie a lot. So
I feel like it's hard not to.
It's hard. Yeah, it's one story. So yeah, we can talk about it all at once. Yeah. That's totally fine. Sure. I also do like the world building for Pennywise as well. Like they do.
Same.
I think they make some very interesting changes. Like I feel like in the first movie, it's implied he's an alien, right? It's kind of like it's there, but they don't outright tell it. This one, they're like, no, he's an alien. He's from another planet. And I really enjoy this almost like Predator-esque kind of characteristics that they give him. I like that because like going into it, I just assumed he was like, I don't know, a killer. He just like, oh, he liked killing people, and I bet he, he still does. Obviously, he enjoys what he's doing, obviously, but also, I at least in these ones especially, it felt he was leaning more on like animal instinct, or it felt like, well, I need to feed, and this is how it's like a lion like going into tall grass to hunt his prey. It's like, well, this is how he eats. This is how, and he may also enjoy it. Sure, it's how he lives, obviously. But I do really like that they lean into that a little bit. It's like, yeah, I need to eat, and this is how I feed, and this is how I live, but also they don't go too far into it, which I think is sometimes important for these horror movies, because it's like you want that element of mystery, and if you know every aspect of what makes these characters tick, then they are no longer scary and they are no longer interesting. And I think they balance that line of mystery and also just me wanting to know who is this guy and what's his lore and why is he the way he is. And all of these things, and I think they gave us like, just enough to satisfy most of my questions.
Which I think is what the show's going to probably cover. I believe Welcome to
That is,
Derry is going to cover that. Or at least a good, probably a good chunk. I'm sure it'll probably meet up at some point with the films.
that is, you are, yeah. I didn't ever think about that, but you are right.
Yeah,
Like, show would be a perfect opportunity to like, who is he and where is he from and why does
yeah,
he do the things he does, and like it just came out today that like it won't like Pennywise himself as the clown won't show up until the end of the season or towards the end of the season, but instead he will manifest in other ways throughout the show.
get
So it's
out.
not
That's
just
awesome.
that is awesome where it's like he is more than just a clown. He can be kind of whatever he wants to be.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like I think showing that side of it's really cool as well. Like I think that's going to be really fun,
yeah, yeah.
especially as
Agreed.
we keep going backwards, because like again that's the most interesting aspect to
Right,
me, because typically you'd go forward, you go
right,
okay all
correct.
the way in the past, go forward. No, they are starting here, and
Yeah.
now it's like okay, back further, back further. How far
Hmm.
do we go? What's the final time frame like? It's going to be fascinating, I think.
Agreed. And something I actually learned through the reviews, one of my mutuals
Mhm.
was telling me that the lore of Stephen King, like all of his books essentially connect in a way. And Pennywise is just one of the, I guess, gods of the universe.
Oh,
He has siblings.
cool.
And this mutual of mine was telling me that essentially in the uh what is it, the Two Towers, that
Oh,
book,
sure.
you
Yeah, yeah.
essentially see all these characters come together, and you see like Pennywise, like who he is, like where his relatives, and like,
Okay.
so I think that's going to be able to, if whatever Welcome to Derry decides to do, I think
Yeah.
if they're able to even hint at, hey, whatever Stephen King's
Yeah.
other books has done, like it's so much bigger
Oh,
than what you think.
for sure. For sure. Yeah. No, that will be interesting. And again, like I
Right.
think lore reasons is one of the big ones. Like, okay, I'm excited to fully dive into
Yeah.
what that is. It's gonna be, I guess, the first original it story ever, right? Because like it's
I
always
think
been
you're
like
right.
adapted on
Yeah.
something, and this feels like I again, unless Stephen King wrote, I don't know, unless there's
I
other stuff out there, it
I
seems like
don't
this
think
is
so.
like, hey, we get to write what we want, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I think that's
Heck
cool.
yeah. I'm all for it.
Yeah. I will say, and maybe this is just because I binged all of these within 24 or between a very short amount of time. 3 was definitely my least favorite. I will say that. Or not 3, but like part 2
Yeah.
was my least favorite.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Right.
I have friends who hate this movie. I have friends who very much like
Really?
this movie. Yeah, like it's not like reviewed. I think it's like what 60 some percent on Tomatoes, which isn't a bad score. Isn't terribly, but like I have friends who aren't like the hugest on it. I still enjoyed it for the most part.
Same.
I definitely. I think this is another one you feel the time though. This is a 3 hour
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, it's close to 3 hours, yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
which I was curious about going in. I was like, "Oh, this is only half. How? What do they do at 3 hours?"
Yeah.
And I will say some of it, especially that middle chunk. A lot of that middle chunk definitely sometimes feel like they're stalling for time. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're just
Yeah.
kind of just throw random things in there. Like I like that. I like that the young cast is back in here. That's probably the most I enjoyed
Same,
this movie.
same.
But also, it is called. It's like a double edged sword, where it's like also that stuff kind of I think slows down the pacing sometimes, and sometimes like going back and forth. It's like I don't know. I was sometimes a little iffy on.
Yeah.
Um, I think the characters are a lot less rich here than they are in the 2017 movie. Some of these
Yeah, for
characters
sure.
feel a little two dimensional sometimes, even when they're
Ooh.
fun. Like uh, Bill Hader's character is so conflicting to me because sometimes I feel like that, but also Bill Hader is so much fun to watch on screen. Like
Yes.
I am like I'm not vibing with this, but also it's Bill Hader and he's funny and like um but I will say they lean into the comedy a lot. This is I'd argue it's just it is a dark comedy. It
Yeah,
is a
yeah, it
comedy and
definitely
if
is.
they
Yeah.
fully lean in. Sometimes that works for me here. Sometimes it
Mhm.
doesn't. Sometimes there'll be a scene where I'm like, "Oh, that kind of threw off the tone a little bit," or whatever.
Mm,
But
yeah.
but also again, it is a pretty funny movie. I think it works for what it's ultimately trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your overall thoughts on the second movie? Because I know we kind of conjumbled them into one
No, no,
here,
no,
but
and I think
what was
that's
your
fine. I'm actually surprised to hear how, I guess, negatively it was
yeah?
received. I would say probably if I was to rank the three,
Hmm.
I'd probably have it chapter one as my number one.
Okay,
I'd probably have this one as my number
okay,
two.
fair enough. Yeah,
Um, and sure, I guess the stretching of the time and of the narrative, maybe it slows it down, but I think in a way, I sort of appreciated the fact that we
okay,
were able to
fair enough.
spend time a little bit more with them versus what we saw in the 1990 version. Um, it By the end, I feel like it's what you feel for them, what they are feeling for each other. I think it's earned. Versus the 1990, I felt like, oh, we're done with it and that's it.
Yeah,
Um, so that's why I guess I'm kind of surprised that it's hated so much. Not hated, but it wasn't well deserved.
yeah,
Received. Sorry.
yeah.
Um, so I guess I'm surprised by that, but
Which
I
is
enjoyed it.
fair. Yeah, I still enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed all of these quite a bit.
Mhm.
I think all of them are in this area of none of them are oh my gosh, I love these so much. I'm going to rewatch these. Yeah, it's like they're all pretty good. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
these are pretty fun.
agreed.
Pretty fun. Flicks and
Agreed.
um, kind of I love the feeling of just being like, oh, I've caught up on this pop culture thing that I've been missing out on for so many years. Like that's always a fun feeling. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts of doing this show is just kind of excuse to be like, okay, finally I'm watching this thing that people love so dearly. Um, and being able to kind of get caught up with everyone else in a cool way. I mean I will say the third act of that second movie, it is a lot. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe too much, but I will say I do like the actual ending itself with
Same.
how they defeat him because
Mhm.
in that first movie they kind of just I don't know,
They just
punch
punch
him
him
a
up.
bunch of
Yeah.
times. I was like, "Oh, that's it? Oh, okay." I do really, as cheesy as it is sometimes, this power of belief and
Right.
Pennywise only has power if people believe in him and to fear him, and once they
Correct.
no longer fear him, he don't I liked that stuff, and I
Same.
liked him crawling into the back of the wall and being like, no, I thought that was interesting, and
Agreed.
I love. I don't know how much of it was special effects and how much was the actual Bill's facial expression doing it, but
Yeah.
he is terrified, and I
Yeah.
think I love this aspect of this. It looks like that's the first time he's ever been scared himself, and I think
Hmm.
that is fascinating. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, interesting. What a great little piece of a detail there of
Agreed.
just
Yeah.
what because he's not a character that we ever truly know how he's feeling.
Right.
Every time he's talking, it's kind of a show. It's kind of
Yes. Yes.
whatever he thinks is going to either one be in their best interest or what they want to hear, or two,
Mhm.
it's to freak him out. We don't ever really know what Pennywise is thinking or feeling or
Right.
who he is at all. But
That's true. Yeah.
in that moment, I kind of felt like I knew what he was feeling for the first
Yeah.
time, and I really I thought that was kind of cool. And
Agreed.
there's almost a bit of reversal where it looks like he finally gets what he's been putting other people through too,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Up until that point, their food, and I
Yeah.
think that moment he's like almost this weird moment of oh, is this what I've been doing? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, oh,
Yeah.
I don't like this feeling. I don't like fear. Oh no, I thought that was really cool. I thought that was nice.
Same. I actually also, aside from the final fight, I also think that they did Eddie as a character more justice with this one.
Hmm.
Because in the 1990, once he kind of dies, they just kind of continue on. But this one, you actually see the grief
Yeah.
as a friend. I'm kind of like, wait, you just lost one of your buddies. Like, how are
Hmm.
you just kind of continuing on and they just kind of leave them there versus this one, like you see the actual pain and hurt that it's causing them having just lost one of their siblings, you would say.
No, 100%. This happens a lot. I think especially in this era or 90s movies or 80s
Hmm.
movies where it's oh, they're dead. Oh well. We have to have a happy ending, so let's have that ending where it's like, everything's good and okay. And you still kind of have that here, but like there is that beautiful scene when they're all like bathing inside the river after everything is
Yeah.
good, and they're all not okay, but like I don't know, like coping the best way they can after what
Right.
happened, and they're just like relieved that they're not dead themselves and that it's
Exactly.
finally over. But then
Yeah.
you have Richie, who is like, because of what's added for this adaptation, which again I really like that decision. I
Yeah.
think that stuff was a really good call. He's not dealing well with it, and
Right.
there's
Right.
that bits of like, oh, I lost my chance, I lost the opportunity because
Yeah.
I was too afraid,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
that's the like, oh, like sometimes Pennywise isn't the only one, like he's not the only one that can cause that fear, is like a kind of probably a bigger commentary on the movie. Like we all
Yeah.
have things that we're afraid of that we didn't embrace because we were afraid. And like that
That's
same
true.
same same goes with Ben, of like the like Ben and like Beverly was like, well, I would never tell her because why would she want me? Like why would she,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's based in fear. So like I like some of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
Even Mike, like he never left the town because he was too afraid that
Right.
everyone would come back, or like he would be missing something. Like it's all their arcs are based in like the fear of. I mean, Eddie was all about the fear of, like, he
Right.
was like literally a germ. Like they all live their life in fear despite Pennywise. And I think that's all. That's a really cool idea. I think they really
Yeah.
embraced here. I think was
Yeah.
cool.
Agreed. I completely agree.
Is there anything else from any of these movies that we haven't mentioned yet that you would like to talk about?
Um, what did you think of, I guess, the fact that the creepy aspect of it was
Mhm.
not so much present in
Yeah.
the 1990 film, but in the newer films? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, like it's kind of an interesting arc because yeah, the first one is more, it is more coming of age. It's not too scary. There are some scenes.
Yeah.
I think more from like an artistic choice. Like there's scenes when like I think it's in that first one, like all the balloons are popping and they're all filled with blood and they come closer. It's like that's cool. That was a really,
Yes.
really cool effect. And like they
Agreed.
got a couple, but yeah, it definitely wasn't as creepy and scary as I thought it would be. But honestly, I've experienced that with a lot of the like horror movies I've watched over the last couple of years. Like I wasn't afraid of Alien or like Scream. I was like, oh, these are more like thrillers than they are like
Yeah.
horror movies.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe there aren't that many like genuinely scary horror movies out there. Maybe more are on the line of thriller than anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate it because I don't like being serious that much, so I didn't mind it. But you are right. Like 2017 definitely brings that back. It's much eerier.
Mhm.
They'd like open the film even scarier. Like when I forget the brothers. Georgie. When
Georgie.
like
Yeah.
yeah, when Georgie's heading out, you just see him like in the dark, and there's two little eyes that are
Yeah.
staring at him. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, all right, like there we go. And they
Yes.
definitely speed that up in a good way. And
Agreed.
then I think part two kind of leans away from it again, which I think is interesting. Again, like there are moments that are a little creepy and scary, sure, but
Of
again,
course.
it's more of a comedy. I'm finding myself giggling and laughing more than I am
Yes.
actually being scared at
Yes.
all. So
Yes.
it's like, huh? And there's there. Again, I don't know if I like the scene or if I don't like the scene. I haven't decided yet. But there's that scene like with the little dog in the when they open the door, it's a little dog and it's a monster. It's like this was like a Scooby Doo bit that they were
Yes.
doing.
Yeah. I could totally agree with that. Yeah. I could totally.
So,
It's so funny that you would mention about how these films, although they were um, like they had infamy of being scary, and not just the It films. Even my wife and I have been watching the Friday the 13th films.
sure.
So we started off with part one and part two. Her coworker actually mentioned Halloween, so she was like, "Oh, can we check it out?" So by the end of all three of those films, she's like, "These aren't that scary. Why are people saying that they're so scary?" And even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I literally saw
Uh,
all 12 films in that I guess in that franchise.
yeah.
None I was like, where's the gore? Where's the scariness of it, like, again, this is not to say that some of those films weren't enjoyable, but
Yeah.
still, like, you hear about them, you hear about, like, hey, these movies are so scary. They bring nightmares as a kid, and then I'm like, again, look, I just, it comes to mind, like, maybe it's just because I'm at the age where this is not something that
Yeah.
is gonna scare me versus when I was a kid. Mind you, I will not watch The Exorcist. I
Yeah,
absolutely
same.
will not watch that film. I don't
Yeah.
care how old I am, because I feel like something like that. That's where I
Yeah.
guess the real scariness comes out of.
I wonder how we'd feel if we watched it as they were coming out. Because I think there's definitely probably a bit of, like, that uncertainty. Like, we know these movies have come out and that they're
Yeah,
a pulp culture icon and
yeah,
that, like, nothing bad is really going to happen because there's more of these movies coming and it's a franchise and blah blah blah. But I wonder if you were there in, like, 1990, watching it. I know it wasn't in theaters, but, like, if you're
right.
watching it for the first time, or you were there until, like, 2017 for the first time or something, not knowing that character, it may be scary. It would have been scary. Also, I bet it's probably much scarier in a theater as well than, like, on our couches at home or
That's
something. You
true
know what I
too.
mean?
Yeah.
So but yeah, no, like, I definitely think it's a very interesting topic of, like, I don't know, how we perceive fear and, like,
Mhm.
again, that line between fear and comedy is
Yeah.
very close. That is a
Mhm.
very, very close line to follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Agreed.
interesting.
I think I think you're right in regards to that aspect, because, for example, growing up as a kid, like the movie Twister, I love the movie Twister now.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
as a kid, I was terrified of it. Or
yeah.
even like Jurassic Park, thinking about it, like you see that T-Rex coming out of his paddock, and you're gonna be eaten by a T-Rex. So I'm like, I think it is,
Yeah.
as a child, you're just more susceptible
Oh,
to the
yeah.
actual fear.
I was I couldn't watch nothing as a kid. Like, I'm watching, like, Aladdin, and I'm
Yeah.
terrified of, like, Jafar coming at me, or, like, Randall from Monsters Inc. is in my closet going to kill me, or, whatever as a child, and just being like,
Yeah.
so I didn't watch shit for years. Like,
Yeah.
my mom in that category was like, no, no, you are not watching, like, anything that's even somewhat freaky or scary.
Yeah.
Understandably, I,
Of
I
course.
get, I get it. Like, if I'm not watching those, if I'm scared
Yeah.
of those things as a kid, it's gonna take a lot to get into these things. So yeah, it
Exactly.
definitely is. It's definitely very fascinating in that aspect.
And I
These
think,
oh,
sorry,
go ahead.
I think it's kind of goes back to the point of what we like, these films. The children are the one that are dealing with the fear, and
Sure,
it's how relatable it is.
and that probably helps too. Or like, oh, these
Mhm.
kids can deal with it. I guess I can.
Mhm.
Like, like I
Yeah.
guess I'm the adult in this
Yeah.
situation. I have to be the
Exactly.
brave one.
Exactly.
Um, no, that's fantastic. I guess I didn't mention it with the original or this one. We also have like the whole bully subplot too
Oh,
in both of
yeah, of
these,
course.
which I thought, what was his name? Was it
Henry.
Henry?
Yeah, Henry,
Henry Byers? Was that it?
Briar.
Henry Byers?
Briar. Wait, Briar?
Briars.
Briars,
Bri
yeah.
Yeah. Um, that was kind of an interesting subplot in both, I thought,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, well, I mean, first of all, I always roll my eyes a little bit when there's these like stereotypical like bullies on movies and TV shows
Yeah.
sometimes, and where I'm always like, are bullies really like this? Like, I get bullying to a point, and then there's like psychopaths, like
Mm,
these characters where I'm like,
yeah.
they are trying to like these aren't bullies, those are those are serial killers. And
Yeah.
I actually do like they actually leaned into it, especially in the second batch of movies, where I'm like, oh no, he is legitimately crazy, right?
Yes.
Like the first movie does just kind of treat him as a villain who
Yeah.
is like he's just a bully, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of it. Who's trying to kill people. That second batch is no, he is
Evil.
actually physically insane. He
Yeah.
he he is unmentally well, and to the point the whole sequence where he like kills his father,
Father,
and
yeah.
Pennywise pushes him to kill his father.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting. Pennywise like hires him to do
Yeah, like, he
so.
uses him. Yeah. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, why? I feel like you don't need to do that, buddy. I feel like you could just do that like what,
It's
like
so
why, bud?
true.
Like
It's so
why?
true.
It feels like extra steps, my guy. You could just make a fake him if you really want to use him
That's
and his.
true.
You could
That
just-
is true. And the fact that he uses his dead friend to be the one that like
yeah.
convinces him, like, hey, escape.
Uh,
That's so true.
like it's not a problem for me,
No.
but it's just something I'm thinking of while I'm going through. Like, what?
Why?
Why? You didn't have to do that. You.
It's so true.
It's fun. It's completely fine. Very cool. It's it's just a way to have them have like a villain that they know
Yeah.
and can traumatize. I get why they did
Yeah.
it for the plot.
Well,
Um,
I guess I would say it more so connects. Well, obviously, Mike is targeted because of his skin color, by
yes,
them, and then Ben because he's a chubbier guy. Um, in regards to the other ones, yeah, he's just your typical bully. But the fact
yeah,
that he's willing to go out of his way to, as he says, kill them all, kill them all. It's like, come on,
yeah.
dude. Like,
And I think it slightly works more for me, and actually think the '90s ones slightly than the reboot ones. I guess like I think he really hits in that 2017 movie. I think he really hits there because they really push him. In that part two one though, he kind of just there, like he's kind of just exists in that one, and
he's there and then out, kind of,
yeah, and
because
it
he
kind of feels
ex-
like it's just still there because it's in the novel and we have to do this subplot.
yeah,
But it's like we kind of don't care about the subplot, but let's just do it anyway, just
yeah,
keep fans happy, kind of thing.
yeah,
I actually think I would have cut him out of that second movie. I think he's fine in that first one. I think he works there, but like I didn't need him in the second one.
yeah.
Like every time he appears, it's like, oh
Why?
yeah, we're doing this. Okay, fine, let's just hurry up and do that.
Honestly, I would have. I sure I would have kept him in the second film. I would have probably just ended his story how they did in the 1990 version, where he goes after one of the losers in the inn or the hotel,
Yeah.
and that's where he needs his end.
Sure. Yeah, and yeah, because he comes back a second time. It's like
Mhm.
this is a lot. This
Yeah,
is very control. Again, I think part of that thing where it's like if they needed more of that runtime, like they're kind of just like Mirandering. Same issue I had kind of with that '90s movie in certain
yeah.
parts where like they'll be like, oh my gosh, we're heading towards the end. Oh, there's an hour left. Okay, all right. We are in the third act and there's an hour left. This is a lot, guys. But it's it is what it is. I still had a good time with that. That was very
Same.
fun.
So actually, I just searched it. It's Henry Bowers.
Bowers. Okay,
Bowers.
Henry Bowers. Yeah.
Henry Barrows. So I guess one of the things that definitely made the second film feel longer is the little side quest mission of the tokens in order to defeat Pennywise.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's something that the book actually
Mm.
does or if they just did it again to stretch out the runtime.
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah, because
curious.
that does because the ultimate thing was like, oh, I lied just to
Right,
bring everyone together.
right.
And I wasn't because like in the moment, like when we were doing this plot line, I was like, oh, that's weird. That's a weird plot line. I don't know if I love this totem supernatural but yeah, because like it turns into like a chosen one story where I'm
Hmm.
like, I kind of don't like that it's a chosen one story.
Yeah,
I like that they think that they are the chosen ones, that
right.
like they
Correct.
mentally like, oh yeah, we are the only ones that can do this because the power of friendship.
Yeah.
I didn't like at first that like it was, oh, like we are chosen by the universe and we're the only ones that can do this,
Mhm.
and again, I'm glad they didn't go that direction. It was like, oh, it was
Yeah.
fake, but it does kind of feel a little like, oh, okay, so we kind of wasted a lot of time on this. It was like, oh, all right. I think yeah, like it does feel like another thing you maybe could have like I don't know. Like I
Just
like it in
removed.
concept. I
Yeah,
like that like I do kind of like that Mike is kind of like just a desperate soul. Like I like that
yeah,
aspect of it of just like we just need to take care of it. Like I need him gone for we can all move on. I can move on. Everyone
right,
else moved on, but I couldn't. I
right.
need to take care of this. And I think it adds a lot to his character. I'm also glad they weren't too mad at him after. I was
Same,
expecting them to like kick
same.
his ass because they did this to him. But like I'm glad he was able to move on. And yeah, again, there's a scene at the end where he's making a phone call. It's like, yeah, I'm finally getting out of here. I was like, okay, again, like that hits harder because of that. But I definitely agree. That's the one piece I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, I think with that being said, again, do you have any final things we haven't mentioned yet? I think we've covered most of everything I think we need to
Same.
cover here.
Yeah, I would agree.
Alrighty. Well, with that being said, that brings us to the end of our show today. Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure to get to know you and talk about all of this nerdy stuff.
Likewise.
For those who don't know, where can we find you? Is there anything you want to shout out, promo, anything you're working on that you would like people to check out?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me literally across all the platforms at neophyte_reviews, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, X, or Twitter, as I still call it. So yeah, you guys can follow me there. And I am covering, like I said, I'm new to the horror scene, so I am doing spooky season for the very first time. So I am now that I'm done with it, I'm going through the Friday the 13th franchise. So
Incredible.
definitely, if you're a fan of those films, or even Halloween, which I believe will be the next ones, check me out.
Incredible. Yes. Go check out his stuff. He made, I think, individual videos on all three of the It movies over on your YouTube and TikTok.
Yep.
So go check that out. Go make sure to give him a follow. Some great stuff over there. Stuff for this channel this week in terms of promo. Join us on Monday for our After the Credits streams. What shows we have left? We have Gen V Season 2 we are covering continuously, and we are jumping into Star Wars Visions Season 1 as we get caught up for this new season that's coming up in a couple of weeks here. And Thursday there will be a new Pipeline episode. I can't confirm what that episode is yet because we don't have it booked officially, but we may have a very special guest on the show next Thursday, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, once again, Sam, thanks for doing the show today. It was an absolute honor. Would love to have you back on the show at some point. So it was an absolute honor. Stay in the studio after I press end, just so I can properly say goodbye to you.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.